Hi, I'm Mark Wilson, a partner at Gateley and a member of the complex and international recovery team. We act for a broad range of clients, from insolvency practitioners through to high net worth individuals and foreign governments. And we also act for hedge funds and private equity houses. We offer a one-stop shop through from forensic examination of documentation through to corporate intelligence to ascertain whether a target is worth pursuing, and then typically we'll litigate at risk. And for a firm of our size, that is very uncommon and puts us in a unique position where we're effectively sharing risk with the client, standing shoulder to shoulder and embracing whatever may happen in the litigation to a successful outcome. One example of what actually goes to make us unique is that some years ago we went to the BVI looking for claims that would come back into the UK and litigate or arbitrate here. We were informed about an auditor liability claim, which we came back to the client within 48 hours to say that we were interested in pursuing it. The claim had been put around most of the litigation funding market in London and had been rejected. That's because the insolvency practitioner had received 50% prospects of success in relation to the claim. We did some basic techniques in relation to Insolvency Act, obtaining the files of documents from the auditors. And when we examined those and took advice, we managed to elevate the prospects of claim to 65%. We saw it in a slightly different light than the overseas lawyers. So we saw the best claim in a dishonest assistance of a breach of duty claim by the directors, which caused us to obtain prospects of success of 65%. We now had what was a very fundable proposition, and we attracted funding. And we then litigated out the claim, and we made realisations of more than £30 million for the insolvency practitioner. That was a claim that wouldn't have been brought without Gateley and this team. Gateley have always been prepared to take a risk and act under a conditional fee agreement or a damages-based agreement. But we think with the litigation funding, that is going to be a complete game changer for us. So we can face the market, providing them with one document that they need to consider. Behind the scenes, we'll arrange after the event insurance. We hope to be in a position to respond to any requests within a very short period of time and litigate the case out, shoulder to shoulder, bearing the risk together. We do most of our work from overseas clients currently. So as part of that, we are looking typically for work. For example, we're working for government bodies from Ukraine and Russia, and also banks based in Moscow, in pursuing bad bankers back into the UK. We employ a significant number of Russian and Ukrainian speakers who are also qualified in those jurisdictions. Cross-border insolvency and asset recovery is the main part of the work that we do, but we also do a fair amount of work in enforcing judgments and arbitration awards, and in fact do a significant amount of arbitration work in the UK and internationally. The team's increased in size significantly, particularly since the flotation, and we now routinely work for USA hedge funds. And a typical example of the work that we may undertake in relation to that is pursuing Ponzi scheme in China, businesses that have been conducting their practice fraudulently. And because we quite often put the structures together, it gives us an insight when we need to also break those structures. We do all sorts of work in relation to litigation and arbitration. So that could be a simple contractual dispute, a shareholders dispute. Our main probably focus is in relation to extraterritorial fraud. That of course also brings into play professionals who may have assisted them during the period of that fraud. So also a significant amount of professional liability work. In relation to the professional liability work, we quite often will work cross-discipline with the other dispute resolution teams, including the insurance lawyers. Often there is difficulty with the extent of the insurance and circumstances of fraud, so the insurance lawyers can often be absolutely vital in relation to that. Much of our work comes from client referrals. One example of where that has particularly been good for us is in relation to the work that we're doing in Ukraine and Russia. 5 years ago we didn't have a practice in that area, and now it is probably the leading part of our practice area. We offer a one-stop shop at Gateley in this team in relation to the arbitration or the litigation experience. So we have forensic people who can consider the documentation to make sure that there's a viable claim. We then have corporate intelligence to ascertain whether the target is worth pursuing, and then we're prepared when the circumstances are right to litigate at risk. We now of course have the litigation fund that can also be used to support the litigation and arbitration which we're undertaking. But in my view, that makes us unique in the market for the sort of size of firm that we are.